once you've seen something that you want, then you make the commitment to it. A lot of people get what they want to only to realize it's not what they really needed. Well, I think the idea of making good decisions is accepting what you make. Questioning any good decision means you didn't make a good decision. Good decisions are made and then forgotten. That way they last forever.
Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to Talking Vibes. And today we have Gordon Smith, all from the Scottish Highlands here. Welcome, Gordon, to the podcast today.
My pleasure.
The interesting thing is, Gordon comes, or I know Gordon from a little friend of mine, and he made the Flow Find Your Flow festival for Unity. And Gordon was there a presentator on the stage for almost like 2 years. And Halil was so fascinated for you, and he said, Christian, you should get in contact with him and maybe make a podcast. And here we are.
Here we are.
The thing about Gordon is, he like in the British culture, they are called like medium. So we can talk about this in a second. So Gordon is a medium, and when I first had a look about his work, I instantly could feel a uplifting flow. Just looking about how he's talking, what he's talking about, and that's not common. So I was really interested to get you into this podcast. And yeah, let's get started.
Sure.
Gordon, what does medium means for you?
Well, medium itself is something in between. It's the middle. So for me, I'm between two worlds, the spirit world and this world. And I've been like that since I was a little boy, since I can remember emotional memories. Not all memories, but emotional memories. And for me, I saw, heard, felt the presence of people who had died. And there was always this joy. Even as a child, I brought joy with this message that, oh, we can't die. We don't die. And of course, I'd since learned that people like Albert Einstein also agreed that we cannot die. That our energy doesn't die, it just changes. So the difference between Albert Einstein and myself are many things, but um, the one difference is that I talk to consciousness and consciousness talks to me. I don't measure consciousness like scientists. I live with it. And living with it means it's alive. So all consciousness is alive. If you're in a magical place like you are in Thailand, you're in an island that's alive and you feel its life force. I live in the Scottish Highlands and it's old but alive. I walk through the Highlands and my goodness, I can feel the vibration of history for millions of years in my country and it fills me with something. So being a medium means that you can interact with different worlds. You are the middle between other worlds. And I would say there's more than one other world. There are many other worlds.
Amazing. Um, I read through your story, and that said that you had this gifts, I would call it, since you are a child.
Yeah.
So how did it start out?
It started when I was 7 years old. A friend of my mum had died tragically. And my mum and dad were quite, not poor, but we were working class. And they didn't have a lot of money. And this man had no family. So my mum and dad scraped what little money they had together to bury him, to afford to bury him. But they put him into what was called a pauper's grave. It's all they could afford. Just that, it was a poor part of the cemetery, not stones and all the memorabilia. Anyway, at the age of 7, I saw this man. I didn't know he died. And he came walking towards me, broad daylight, and he was singing a little song. And in the song, he mentioned the word Dal Beth. And he was happy, and I was happy listening to him. And I ran in to tell my mother, and my mother was shocked when I said the song, which was "I'm Happy, Buried in Dalbeth." So my mother was ashamed that she'd to bury him in this poor graveyard. And he came back really happy. And I told, well, I didn't know what I was telling her. I saw a living person. I didn't see a dead man. And she freaked, totally freaked. And she couldn't believe it because I said the name of this place that I couldn't possibly know at that age. But even the description I gave of him, he was wearing this, he was da da da. He was real. He wasn't a ghost. He was physical. And the only memory I have that was different at that point in that occasion was my feet were rooted to the ground when he was talking to me, and he wasn't using his lips. The words were coming through him, through me. And even at 7, I knew that. Now, that memory has never left my mind. Whenever you converse with the spirit, it never goes. So, Christian, I can talk to somebody today who I read for them 30, 40 years ago. And they'll say, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I'll say, "No." And they'll say, "You gave me a reading in this place." And I'll go, "Oh, your daughter's name was Christine. She died of this." No, yeah, yeah, yeah. I never forget the spirit world. It's weird. My mind is just open to that. It's a bit like having access to a huge file and you can just download it whenever, as long as you've done
It's
it,
it's
you can download it.
it's it's beautiful. So like for me, like I'm a mechanical engineer. So like my spiritual path, it started like when I was 20 something, and for me it was not like directly for you that I could see clear pictures. For me it was always more like I could feel like past lives, but only the death moments, so the last seconds
Yeah.
onto my body, so I could feel how I was killed on several
Mm.
parts of my body. And this was back then for me really disturbing because it's, yeah, it was not so clear. And for sure, talking with other people about this topic is not everybody's open for that. I would call it like this. So
Mm.
for me, it's really interesting that your gift started straight away when you were 7. It was like you, I would call it like fully connected. So you had a full um, as I like to say, connection to the quantum field, like
Yes.
to the field where everything is stored, and where, from
Yes.
my perspective, also like our souls are stored when
Yeah.
they are died, when the
Yeah.
death comes, and then the from there the rebirth starts. Yeah.
That's a really good description of it, because that really is it. As the point of living in this life is to improve.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in what you said about your rebirths, that you felt the pain of death and not the life you lived before it. That's really interesting. For me, that's a point of healing the past. You've come into this world to make things better.
Yes,
That's what
I
you're
do.
doing now. I don't know that, but I do know it. But the reason I know that is because of where you've been. And you've told me where you've been. You've come through lives that were left open and needed to be closed. And all you
Mm.
needed to do to close them was accept the death. Feel it, realize it, let it
Beautiful.
go. That's it. Feel it, realize it, let it go. And that's how we move on. So imagine, Christian, being mechanical or engineering in your mind, that you're a computer. So, Christian and Gordon, right now, we are actually programs. We're not all we are, we're just programs. So, you think the program of Christian had several programs unclosed, still sitting open,
Mm-hmm.
and you felt them. Wow. But you had to shut them down in order for Christian to get the full potential of the now. And that really is what it is. So these programs of past lives had to be shut down. And in order to shut them down, you had to recognize that they were open. How do you recognize a past life? Feel it. Feel the death,
Mm.
you know?
Exactly. Beautiful said, and that was what came in this moment. And for me, it was interesting that it was really like, I would say at least 30 to 50
Wow.
different deaths where I need, like in 3 to 5 years,
I
had
love that.
to Yeah, to live through it. In this moment, I accepted it. I read different books and I said, okay, yeah, that must something like be like this, like
Yeah.
healing the past life. And I felt also that what you said, like when I close this chapter, there will be room for something new. So it was
Yes.
important in this life to walk through this. And this is how my career started. And that's the interesting part. During this time, I studied mechanical engineer, and I have a gift in mechanical engineer. I'm good at this topic, so this is where my two worlds started. So on the one side, this yeah, deep spiritual connection where not everybody
Mm.
understands what I am talking about, and on the other side, this classical German engineering style.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with classical German engineering because I've never met people in my life like German people who are so well ordered and so well organized. And me being a Cancerian, my birth sign, I love order. So I love Germany. Whenever I worked there, I've worked there for 30 years. I blend with German people so easily because my mind is putting things into order. I told a story last night to my German friends that years ago I did a reading, a one-to-one session with a German guy. I can't mention his name, but he was very famous in football. Um, wow, yeah, he was. And he had a very big tragedy in his life. And when he came to me, he was holding a notepad. And on it, there were 50 questions that he wanted answered. And during the reading, I answered 49 without knowing it.
Really?
He
Okay.
ticked them all. He said, "You've answered 49. Can you please answer the number 50?" And I said, "No." "Why can't you answer the number 50?" I said, "Because it's not time." I said, "If I were meant to, I would have given you that answer. And it's not time." I said, "But I love that you actually structured your reading. Only a German man could do that." Like, and I love that. I think that is so cool. So many people are random and scatty, and I thought, no, that's really cool. That man
Yeah.
actually knew what he wanted from this. Mm.
I did the same when I had Bea Rübli. She was also
Ah,
on.
beer, lovely beer, yeah.
Yeah. I was had several readings with her, and the first time I went into her reading, I had also a list with all the questions, and yeah, for me it was also interesting. I want to share this because I think the audience, for some of them, they
Sure.
can resonate with it. Is what happened to me is like when I go into a reading and the medium is really advanced, then I get instantly the answers to these questions.
Wow.
So before the reading starts, last time I had a reading with Bey, I said like in the first minute, okay, all my answers, we can chat about something else.
Great.
Yeah. So that's what you also send with the computers. I think also when people are interacting, the portals go open, and also for the audience, I really um, I want you to make it a little challenge. Like during this listening with Gordon
Mm.
and me, I think there's also a great chance to get into this energy field of both, and maybe you also get a clear answer during listening to this podcast for questions you have yourself. And this is also the topic for today. Like all my life, I'm have this German brain and I always want to get control about all the questions about life. So so the one of the driving thing in my life was always how do we make good and lasting decisions. So making a decision is easy, yeah. If I see a chocolate cake, I can say, okay, I
Yeah.
want it or not, I eat it or not, maybe I take two pieces. If this is a good decision, maybe for my body or what else, that's on a different page.
Well, I think the idea of making good decisions is accepting what you make. Questioning any good decision means you didn't make a good decision. Good decisions are made and then forgotten. That way they last forever. So we don't
Good
then
decisions are
it's
made
different. Yeah,
and forgotten.
we don't question it. Once you make a decision, that's it. You don't say was it right or wrong. It was obviously right, and it took you to where you are now. There is no
Beautiful.
right or wrong when it comes to life. There's none.
Amazing. One step before, let's say, especially for the audience, we have something maybe in the typical topics are always money, relationship, business, yeah, these and health. Huh?
Well, they're very
The,
human, but
the,
yes, they are.
the three main thing.
Yeah.
Let's go to business. For example, before I make a decision, I have a decision. Let's, for example, buy something expensive for the company.
Mm.
Yes, no, which supplier, which product, which design, whatever. How would you recommend for people to, yeah, to make the first step in a lasting decision?
Well, first of all, when it's going to be a lasting decision, you have to commit to it. Once you've seen something that you want, then you make the
Mhm.
commitment to it. A lot of people get what they want to only to realize it's not what they really needed.
Mm.
So in order to have things, they must mean something to you. And this is important for everything. That includes people. People become obsessed with a person and they call it falling in love. And it's not, it's obsession in many cases. And that obsession then dies and they're no longer in love and they want to discard people. So therefore, they're not ready to make big decisions. I would say when somebody's young in their mind, they haven't woken up in life, they make many decisions and they'll call some of them wrong or bad. No, they just weren't ready to make them. We can only make true decisions when we are emotionally intelligent enough or emotionally old enough to make lasting decisions. It's a bit like people who get married at the age of 20 and divorced by the age of 25. You know,
Mhm.
had they waited till they were 30 or 40, they might have committed to each other for the rest of their life. So, commitment to what you're about to ask for, that for me is really important. How much do I need this? Not want it. Wanting and needing are two very different things. So, if you want to buy something for the company, that's different. That's choice. If you need to buy something for the company, that's necessity. It's a different thing. And I think that comes down to just having the awareness to know where you are and what you need to take you to the next step of something in your life to make that commitment. I'll tell you, Christian, you're young compared with me. The amount of things I need in my life right now are zero. I don't need anything. But when I was younger, I needed lots of things. I wanted lots of things. Now, I don't need anything. It's really cool when you actually realize I don't need any of that stuff. It's all stuff. It's like, wow, crazy stuff.
Okay, let's make it a little bit more concrete. Let's say we are in the moment where we think we
Mm,
need something, yeah?
yeah.
Let's say we are 30, and I read also through a book cover of yours, and you said that there one important thing is to make a decision is to become quiet.
Mhm.
Means like, or in this moment you said it especially for channeling. When you want to get answers, you need
Yeah.
to get quiet. What do you mean with that?
Well, if you have a noisy mind, so if you have a brain, and I'd say a brain first of all, that is constantly active, but a mind, I see the mind as separate from the brain. If your mind is full of thoughts of I need, I want, I this, da 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 da, there's too many questions. So you need to sit down and get your mind into a space where there's as empty a space as you can create. Thoughts come, you don't follow them, you let them go. Needs and wants appear. I want no, no. You just let them dissolve and you sit in the emptiness. And there you can truly make decisions about your life because you're not influenced by your emotions. So switching off from thought and emotion and just being in the space will allow you a clearer observation of where you are and where you need to go. And every good journey in this world should begin by a pause. Now, some people are very spontaneous and just run off into a particular thing. I did that for a lot of my life, and I still have the scars. for being impetuous. I was never very, ordered. As I grew older, I realized you don't need to keep making mistakes. Yes, you learn a lot through mistakes, but actually just stop. Take a moment. What do I really need? And just open your mind. And if something comes, a feeling, a thought that supports what you want to do, follow it. If nothing comes, the answer is no. Remember that? When people say, I never
Okay.
got any answer, yes, you did. Nothing means no, you know?
Okay, this means so like getting into like a kind of meditation state.
Yeah.
Maybe in a, like for beginners, you would recommend maybe sit on a chair, close your eyes, silent room, and then get the thoughts out of the mind. Means like sit there until it becomes more quiet
Yeah.
up in the mind, and then you think about the question. For example, should I make this decision right or left?
That's one way of doing it, but then meditation isn't really a cosmic answering service. We don't we don't necessarily get answers because we meditate. We meditate to prepare. And people will say, to prepare for what? Well, to prepare for whatever. That's why we meditate, just to prepare. So it means we're ready to accept the choices that we make. There's no such thing as a bad choice. There really isn't. It's the right choice. Even if it means you die, well, then you were meant to. The fact that people keep trying to make it perfect and good and right, well, that's to do with people. That's not to do with life, you know? An earthquake doesn't deliberately kill people. People who are caught up in it die. It's not something that happens to you because you did something, because you were in that place at that time. And therefore, we need to understand that living itself has this wonderful motion. And if you learn to follow the flow of life, you don't need to make all these decisions. That's difficult for you. One, because you're a German man and you have an analytical brain, which I love, actually. I think it's a very incredible quality. Two, because you're mechanical. So you need structure. So try and imagine your life in meditation with no structure. And you're not allowed to know, you just have to do. That would be really difficult for you. I'd love to teach you that, just for the fun of it. I'd love to do that because it's like letting go of everything you know and trusting that it's going to be okay if you are not in charge of it. Like, wow, just letting it.
Ooh.
Oh, that's scary, isn't it?
I can feel
I love
how
that.
healthy this would be. Yeah, I mean I can feel that you're a good reader of persons and moments, and for sure I have to admit that I liked and I like to control, like
Yeah,
to structure and then to
yeah,
channel the outcome and then make the perfect decision. Knowing that there is no perfect decision and also knowing that it costs a lot of energy and
yeah,
also makes me tired to not follow the flow but
yeah.
to yeah, to try to control the universe, yeah, something like this. Amazing, yeah.
Mm. It's true because when you're in your power and you are in your power, incidentally, I chose a card for you, Christian, and this is the card I chose, the Space
Okay, cool.
Dragon. So
Okay,
look at this
nice.
dragon, okay? It's a mythical creature, but look what it's doing. It's trying to control the universe. Isn't that bizarre? You just said it, and that's the card I chose for you. I love that.
And that's my card today. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Okay,
But
cool.
look at it. The dragon is trying to control the universe there. But the one thing I will say about this is somebody who is actually not in a controlling way, in a compassionate way, trying to put things right, which I said when we first started talking. You came into this life to make things better, to make things right. So here, controlling the space dragon is actually controlling space. So the element of space is one of the five elements. And right now, you're in your space where you're supposed to be. This is why the dragon's chosen. You're holding all the elements within your hands right now, and you're getting ready to do something new. Now that will happen, and it will happen within the next 6 months. You're going to make a decision. You won't be where you're staying right now. You're going to be somewhere else, and you're going to be working towards a new plan. It's all going to be good because when you're in control of the space, things work. Your doubt is, what if I drop something? What if I don't get everything where it should be? You need to lose that thinking. You see?
And how should I what should I how should I change that?
Just keep talking to me. You'll be fine.
That's a good
You will
salesman,
be fine.
huh?
You'll be fine. And do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because you have a purpose, and your purpose is to actually balance other people and make other people well. So, though you're a mechanical engineer, you're really a healer, and you're trying to find ways using your brain to create esoterical or metaphysical things. And you're trying to find, how does that all work? In essence, you're trying to be a medium. You're trying to be in between two worlds, the structured world and the non structured world. And how do I build something that one can help the other or affect the other in a good way? And right away, I feel your compassion. And that's a beautiful thing to have. And incidentally, for any women watching this, men naturally are compassionate. That's our virtue. Men, to be born as a man, your highest virtue you can achieve is compassion. Women, the highest virtue they can achieve is wisdom. So women are wise, men are compassionate. And you only have to think of mother and father. Mothers need wisdom to control the running of a family. Fathers need compassion to actually go and get things and share with a family, to be
Mm.
non-selfish, to actually do it for others. So the nature of people is compassion, and wisdom is our highest virtue. For me, you have compassion, but you need to look for wisdom. So it's finding the two virtues, the yin and yang within you.
Mhm.
That's what you're
Mhm.
looking. Funnily enough, you were looking at a yin and yang just recently. I'm
I
seeing through
mean,
your eyes. You were actually looking at a building and it had yin and yang on the front of it. Oh, that's interesting.
you're really good. I have to share something.
Okay.
I don't know if you it was hearable, but well, of course there's noise cancellation on this recording. But while you were holding the dragon card on the yeah, and the noises here
Yeah,
comes, so it's the truth I'm telling. There was a big truck on chains going up the street. So it was like while
the
you were talking
vibration.
about the dragging in the universe. And normally up here on the hill, it's really, really silent.
I love it. I actually love that.
So amazing. And for sure, last weeks I have to admit, or months you could say, I'm working on my female side. So I
Yes.
noticed that I need to get more into that so that my whole yin and yang gets more stable. So
Yeah.
I'm totally on your side, would
Do you know,
say.
Christian, it's a bit like someone who can do a martial art, karate or whatever, taekwondo or something. They also need to learn Tai Chi. One without
Mm.
the other doesn't work. So you need a hard and a soft to actually complete the whole thing. To just be violent and aggressive with a martial art is one thing, but to actually contain it and control it, the energy through the flow of something like Qigong or Tai Chi is actually very beautiful. And I'm saying that deliberately because I know that that's something that, yeah,
Beautiful. And that's also relates to this how to make a decision.
yes,
I think this bec- completing the own state,
mm,
the yin and the yang.
yeah,
Course, I noticed also the more I lean into my female energy, the better the outcome of the decisions I make. So the decisions they are more stable and they fulfill me more.
Well, think about it. They're wise. They come from wisdom.
Mhm.
The feminine part of us is the wisdom. And it's not even once you realize that there's no longer masculine or feminine, it just becomes the all. And therefore, there is no definition at a point spiritually between men and women. There's not. In this world, there is, but beyond it, there's not. I mean, at some point, if you've lived through many lives, because you're a man in this life doesn't mean to say you were a man in your last life or will be a man in your next life. In order to experience all life, you have to experience all things or as much as your consciousness can take. So it's a bit like when people talk about past lives to me and say, "Oh, I used to be whatever." Well, most people were Jesus for some reason. Everybody was Jesus in the past life. Really?
Okay.
Wow. He's getting around. The thing about it is, none of them ever believed they did anything wrong. And you think,
Interesting.
oh, wow, you had these great lives. Did you ever hurt anyone? Do you ever remember that? And if you don't, why don't you? Because we all hurt people and hurt ourselves. Why are these things not important when people remember past lives? They should be, because these are the things that we need to grow. We need to process who we are, what we're doing, and where we're going, and allow it to open and unfold.
It's really interesting because this, like I said, like my first remembers about past life
Yeah.
was about the death, and it's nothing like what was interesting to share or where I could grow my ego with. So it was just like felt also a little bit kind of unnecessary in these
Yeah.
moments, yeah. And also this ability continued, and then the next bigger memories were like about fighting wars
Hmm.
as soldiers, as leaders, and it was always about killing other people and be killed. So there was no memory about being glorious. It was a lot of loaded with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt.
Wow. Now that's really interesting that you come into this world with a mission to do good, but you've seen former experiences of doing things that caused you shame. Now see, that's real for me. When people tell me,
Mm.
"Oh, I was Marie Antoinette and I was whatever Elizabeth of the First of England," you think, "Really? Were you?" No. And a lot of times, who we see as our past life is only a representation of the life we lived in. So people may see Jesus. That doesn't mean to say they were Jesus. They may have lived at that time. So he would have been an important figure in their life. They may see
Um,
Napoleon. They weren't
mm,
Napoleon, but they lived. It's almost like the mind is giving you symbols or representation of the time you lived in. And it's a bit like, wow. So to download an entire past life would be such a big file to download into your mind in this life. It'd be too much for people. And this is where you get some people who say, "Oh my God, I felt another person," or I feel like someone else. Their
mm,
file is stuck and they need that to be sent back to the hard drive.
mm,
It's stuck. So there's a lot of this stuff. Past lives should only be moments in your mind. And it's you tapping
mm,
into something to get an answer. So for every war you fought, then the answer to war is peace. For every shame you felt, the answer to that in this life is achievement and sharing, is
mm,
compassion. Now, in
mm.
your heart, you are compassionate. I can feel that. I love when I meet people who have compassion, because, and especially younger people, because that means there's people in the world who care, younger people, and that's really nice. That's a very special thing. And achievements come to you not because you strive for them, actually because you create them without even knowing. You create. You've created where you are. You are a
Mm,
result of
definitely,
karma. Okay.
definitely.
So here's the thing I would say to you. When people talk about karma, they don't totally understand. In the Western world, they're not so sure.
Mhm.
They think karma's some punishment system. It's not. Karma's a series of actions that create. So you look at Christian now, who you are, your health, your wealth, your living, where you were born, where you lived. Your karma brought you to this life. So you must have
Mhm.
done something good before.
I
So
agree.
maybe the wars you fought were necessary.
That was the piece where I talked with Bea about this, and that's where the piece came in, that they this understanding that sometimes also fighting a war and losing a war, winning a war needs to be done to fulfill the cosmic drama. And in this moment, as you said, it was the perfect moment. And so the emotions that were still attached to it can now go into healing
Yes.
and leave it, as you
Yeah.
said, as a spark, and made me or helped me to develop the talents I have right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's how I feel, and that's what I think is so beautiful about this human story when you start thinking about in a consciousness continuously development of the soul
Yeah.
instead of having one life, being all life fearful about that,
Yeah.
and then it's gone, and then I like more this more complex version where you say no, 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 you have a soul, it's reborn, and you can continuously change it, develop it, and even if you did something wrong, everybody did something wrong in the past, you don't
Yes.
have to repeat it.
And therein is why we need to know our own truth. And it's okay to know that you did something wrong. It's okay. And it's also okay
Mhm.
to know that people did things wrong to you. Because when you actually allow yourself to forgive another person, you grow. You can't forgive without growth. If I forgive you something or you forgive me, both of us grow from that. Forgiveness is its own reward. It's a beautiful thing. So learning, that, oh my God, I don't like what they did to me. Hold on. Why? And what did it make you do? What was the reaction to that karma? Many people are born, actually, the way I'm Tibetan Buddhist as a path I follow, as well as being a medium. And in Tibetan Buddhism, it's said that you're drawn to your opposite gender parent for lessons. So we would both come into this world drawn to our mother. Sisters would be drawn to the father for lessons. So we look at, what did our mother teach us in this life? To be like her or not to be like her? But she would be the teacher you were drawn to. She pulled you into the world either to give you something or to teach you something. So you look at that and you think, wow. And that's how it works. The opposite gender is attracted to the opposite gender when you come in. So your consciousness was drawn to the feminine. And look at where you are right now and what you're trying to do. To hmm, you are already fatherly in your actions, strong and decisive. And what you're trying to do is soften and be more gentle. And
Definitely.
that's where you are. And it's an interesting thing how we are born. I mean, our consciousness is in space, like that dragon, um, the element of space, and our first element in this world is air, breath. Think about it. But we're air is mind. So you think of your mind, you can't see your mind. You know you have it, but you don't know where it is. Most people go, I'm remembering, and they look, and we do things like this. But the mind is all around us. The mind is an extension of us. It's subtle. It's not the brain. The brain is a machine. The mind is different. It's between two worlds. That's air. So your mind is formed the moment your mother and father have a thought of reproduction. When they have that intimate moment, your consciousness is honing in on it. Then you will have this element of fire, passion. You're drawn to the fire. That's the passion. Then water is the first element that we are in this world. And then one single cell makes us earth. So we start with space, air, fire, water, earth. And when we die, we do the same. We have body death, we have physical death, we have dehydration, which is fire and water leaving us. We have air, which is the mind going back to space. It's just a cycle. And when you know that, it's really okay. It's pretty cool, actually. That, yeah. And the great thing is, Christian, the moment we can learn not to be afraid of death, then we can truly learn not to be afraid of life. So don't be afraid of dying, and you won't be afraid of living. And that is the gift of this life. Be happy. It really
Definitely,
is.
that's really beautiful. I had a talk with a good friend, and he's a doctor in psychology, and he said that a lot of people have exactly this problem. They have like on the material side literally everything, especially in the Western world, but they cannot find their own happiness. And he said a lot of clients has this thing they and then they start to create things where they can worry about and become uh, yeah worry was the big topic. A lot of people get worried, and from this worry they develop sickness in their body, and then with
Yeah.
the sickness they have a reason more to be worried about. And this like literally destroys, or not destroys, but like capsules their
Yeah.
souls into a prison. Yeah.
Well, money's an energy, and if you have too much of it, it can actually hurt. So you need to learn how to balance energy. And that's the same way you would learn how to balance your own energy through your emotional behavior. Um, a lot of people get money and they don't know what to do with it. So they give it all away or they buy ridiculous things, Ferraris and Porsche and all of this. They get the best, what they assume will show them in a great light. When in actual fact, people who are truly rich, rich inside, they never need to display their wealth. They are their wealth. You know, one man said to me one time, a very rich man, he was from London, a billionaire, and I helped his wife who had just lost her brother. And he said, "Why are you not rich? Why can't I take you with this gift to countries and I can introduce you to all these people and they'll make you rich?" And I said, "Sir, I think you misunderstand the situation. I am rich, but you need to learn what rich is." 2 years later, he lost most of his money in the credit crunch and he
Mhm.
came to me for help. And he said, "Can you make me rich?" And I said, "I'll try. You can only make yourself rich." I said, "I can give you
Mhm.
the tools." And he said, "I mean to be rich like you, not rich the way I was." I said, "Okay, we'll try." And I gave him the tools. I believe he's happy. So to me, I invest in the bank of happiness because it doesn't
It's
crash.
a good one.
It doesn't change with stocks and shares. It's the bank of happiness is something worth investing in. It really is.
Definitely it is. The bank of happiness. I think also like that the how should I say this? The only the only true part of the soul is like joy.
Yeah.
So so the more we tap
Yeah.
into this is the main true feeling, and everything else is just an a cover of the true
Yeah.
soul joyfulness, huh?
It really is. I'm now 62, and in my life, I've known many different situations, the highs, the lows, emotional this, had money, didn't have money, all the different aspects of life. And now I've never been happier. And I embrace my age, I embrace who I am, and I love it. I actually wake up each day and just thank the universe for, wow, this is a great experience. And though I have no fear of leaving this world, I'm enjoying it. There's no point being here if you don't enjoy it. And if you can make it easier, make it easier. That's the key. You know, and there's a lot we can do for ourselves without other people doing it. There's a lot we can do every day by recognizing and realizing just what we have. I have a young friend who's blind, and I thank the universe every morning I can see. As I get older, I don't see as well, but I can still see. And I can walk in the mountains, I can do all the things that I think, wow, when I was young, I didn't appreciate this. Now I do.
mm,
And it's the everydayness of life can be beautiful.
mm,
So many people are
mm,
looking at tomorrow and they don't
mm,
really live in the now. So
mm.
being in the now is so important. It's like, wow, recognize you're alive. That's the thing.
Recognize your life.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. I cannot even hear your words. I can feel your frequency. It's nice. It's a nice portal. That's what you opened. Beautiful. I had like I think we talked about before before we started the podcast in the introduction. You said personally that you love to help people who have a challenging time with
Mm,
loving people who died
yeah.
recently.
Yeah. Well, one
What
of the
is
things
like,
one of the things
yeah.
I learned, Christian, about my gift is
Mhm.
it could be sensational. It has been. I've stood on television. I've done things like that because I was stupid and thought that that was something I should do. I did it. I learned it was not a good thing to do with my gift. I've done many things for people who were famous and all different things, thinking, oh, to do this, that will make me, it doesn't make you anything. And then I learned that I use it now with no cost for nothing. I don't charge for what I do. When I help somebody in a reading, it's because they've lost someone. So I realize it works better when there's a purpose. So I work for a big charity called Helping Parents Heal for many, many families who have lost children. And the satisfaction that comes from that is worth more than any financial reward. Being able to help a mother and father who have lost a child or two children or more is quite something, if you can. I'm not God and I can't do everything, but what little I can do does help. And that is quite something. It really is. So it takes you a long time before you know how to use your gift. I would be a liar if I said I always used it wisely. I didn't. I use it to
Mm,
impress people sometimes. Now I wouldn't do that. It's such a precious thing. I only use it when I feel it's right to do so. And people, many times, I have journalists call me most days and, can you find this child who's gone missing? Can you do this? And I think, no, I can't. It's not in my heart right now to do that. I don't feel it. I do it when it's right, when it works, when it's the moment. When I say right, it's not the word. I do it when it feels appropriate. This is the
mm,
time to open up. And when it helps a family, it's the most beautiful thing. It really is. I think recently I sat with a family and it was the husband, the father. He just he couldn't relate to how his daughter was killed. And he was angry inside. He was everything. I mean, wow. Being able to bring his daughter through in an evidential way that it broke a stone that was inside him. The grief had turned so hard in his stomach that the message she gave him exploded that, and he just cried like I've never seen a man cry. He needed to. That was the healing, and it needed to be that hard hitting the evidence. So to watch somebody transform from hating the world and hating God and hating the universe and hating everything because somebody took his precious daughter away to actually letting go and beginning to heal. I didn't heal that man. I gave him the
mm.
moment that he can begin to heal himself by using the gift that I was given or the gift I brought into this world. So, therefore, I think as you get older, you learn to become more responsible with your gift. So, I don't just throw it around, I use it when I feel it's the right thing to do or the thing to do to heal people or help people. So, I'm not good at
So
predicting the lottery. But then sometimes what I do is worth more money than you can win on the Euro Millions. So
For sure, if there's a possibility to work through such a traumatic event, I
yeah,
think that's, yeah, you there's no price tag on this one, I
no,
guess. Huh?
no, that's true.
Beautiful.
No price tag.
No price tag. And this is where people can get into contact with you, yeah? If they had such an event
Yeah,
and they think
yeah,
you can be somebody who helped them work through the
yeah.
beautiful.
But there are many good mediums out there, and also people. Sometimes when people come to me, I recommend them to some of my colleagues who I know are trustworthy, who are excellent mediums. So even if I can't do it, there are many who can.
Mm. I think also this is really important that that everything suits together. No, it's
Yeah,
not one
it is.
one
Yeah,
key, the same key for everyone.
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, absolutely. And mediumship is only one answer to things. There are many forms of healing that people can access for different things, grief especially. And it's where you're drawn to. Again, I don't think there's any one way of healing. I think there are many ways of healing.
Definitely. Yeah, this is already the time where we come slowly to the end of the podcast, and Gordon was at the Unity at the Flow
Mm,
Find Your Flow Festival, and there he got the good old G1,
yes.
and I said to Halil, Halil said to me, Gordon is really in it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hear from you what was your experience or what do you want to share about it?
Well, Christian, I don't wear jewelry of any kind. I never have. And when Halil gave this to me and I put it on, I just loved it and I felt good. I thought, I don't wear things. Try and imagine I've been all over the world and met many people of different cultures. I have amulets and necklaces and bracelets and rings, crystals and God knows what. And I don't wear anything. I keep them, but I don't wear them. And this, I can't take off. I don't know why. I can't take it off. It's like, okay, it belongs to me. So I just feel that I'm in harmony with it. I feel I love the vibration of it. It feels right, and and every now and again I just look for it. Yeah, okay, it's there because it doesn't sometimes feel like it's there, and it reminds me of something. As I say, I said mentioned earlier that I'm Tibetan Buddhist, or that's the path I follow. So 40 years ago, when I went into that path, I was given this. This is a Tibetan Gao. The inside this is my life's medicine. So in Tibetan Buddhism, we don't take medicine, you wear it around your neck. So whenever I'm feeling my energy was depleted or down, which I haven't for a long time, I would wear that. So they believe to treat the mind, to treat outside the body, helps the body. This does the same thing. So for me, I'm wearing this and this. This somehow works with my elements, the elements in my body, and it balances them the same way this would. So it's very similar. And the idea that I wear something that makes me well is better than taking things. For me, no, I can't tell people don't take medicines or things. I don't say that. What I'm meaning is this actually has a vibration that it tells me it's mine, or I am belonging to this item. So I don't know what you've created in this, but it's beautiful, and I love it, and I will not take it off. It's it's like really, it's become really special to me. That's all I can say, without knowing the entirety of the makeup of it. I just know it's right, and it feels fantastic to wear. It balances me. That's what I would say. It brings me balance.
Thanks a lot for sharing to this. And for me, really interesting is also like Bea Rubli. That's how I get in contact with. She had it in her hand and she was fascinated. She
Yeah.
was challenging where it comes from.
Ah.
And I have also to admit that some decisions are made for the G1 where they just came. It's like it's not there's no reason for some parts of this product. It's just like do it like this. Do it. As you say, as a medium, I received with my mechanical study. I tried the best, and I also like because a lot of people also they like what frequencies and hint and that. And what I mainly can say is the idea that it's so neutral as possible, so that it can be uplifting and resonating with every moment, with every
Mm,
second. So there is no personal thought behind it.
yeah.
So free, it's free of
Well,
itself.
it's been channeled then.
Yes,
You've allowed it to come through you rather than put you in. That's lovely. That's absolutely beautiful, Christian. I love that.
definitely. And it was
That's good.
definitely, or my mechanical mind was needed. So that's for me the interesting thing that I needed to go to both. And that's why I guess with 20 both ways started,
Yeah,
the spiritual side and the mechanical education. And it was always yeah, a pleasure for me to connect both worlds and to find the same
absolutely.
words. Now, some people they say there here's the endless universe. The other called it the quantum field, and they try all to talk about the same thing.
Yeah,
What is beyond? No, it's beyond. It's in the metaphysics. It's beyond the
yeah,
measurable.
yeah.
That's where we still have no tools to measure into only our intuition, I guess,
Yes,
or our God given gifts to dive into this field. And so, yeah, thanks a lot
my
for
pleasure.
you personally sharing about this topic, and thanks a lot for this podcast. I have to admit, I love to talk to you. It's and I really like that there has not been an interaction before. So this podcast was
I
raw.
love it.
It's literally our
Yeah,
first met, and I really enjoy that it resonated so well, and your answers were really inspiring for me, and I hope also for the audience. And yeah, from this perspective, I give you the last words. If you want to share something, now is the
do you
time
know,
for you.
Christian? The simplest thing, first of all, is thank you, or Dankeschön, mein
Dankeschön.
Freund. um, Thank you for again allowing me to share my thoughts with you, and it's a pleasure to meet you. It really is. One day we'll meet in person, and I'll look forward to that day. For anybody watching, I would say something to take from this is to try, and I mean try. Don't look for happiness to come to you. Try to find it. You have all the keys and all the elements. Use them, and make a better version of your life. That's it.
That was Gordon Smith. Thanks a lot for everybody
My
listening to
pleasure.
it, Gordon. Thanks a lot that you take your time for this podcast. Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers.